right, guys, this is the Comedy Spore. I have over here to my right Robert Tabet, and then I have over here to my left Alden Schaub. I've had an influx of comedians at my house in the last couple of days, but these two are a couple of my favorites. What's up, man?
What's up, dude? I am so just in awe of where you live. It's very cool.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I could just walk around for a while before I could even settle down. This is so cool.
Yes, sir. And you don't actually live that far away, huh?
No, I'm just 20 minutes down the street in Bee Cave over there at the Avanti.
How long did it take you to get here?
About 45 minutes, but I will say I'm used to this drive. I grew up on this side of town.
Oh, yeah?
This is like me coming back home. This is cool. I love this side of town. Yeah. I'm not gonna out anything. I'm not gonna dox you, but I love this side of town.
We're by Mansfield Dam, so
Yeah.
fucking.
We're in an undisclosed location in a bamboo forest.
Yeah.
That's very accurate. I've got let's see, you guys saw two of the kitties.
Yes.
I had a kitty that had a kitty, a litter of one, but she's a kitty of another kitty that's around here somewhere. So I got 5 in total walking around.
Damn.
I'm assuming Lady Bird will come in here. She's the tuxedo one. She speaks English. But yeah,
Wait, did you teach her, or did you just?
she mimics and she always speaks. Like if she comes up to the door and sees us and investigates, she'll probably say something.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's fun. I love her. But I wanted to ask, so first memories of each one of us. When did I stand out to you? Same to you? When did you to me? And I can, for you, I remember one of my first handful of banana phones. It might have been the first or second one. But, when I first showed up in the scene, I was a lot fatter. I was probably 280 or something at the time, and I was wearing basketball shorts. And then I remember Alden at some point specifically goes, I think he's getting hard. And I was already bumming, and that's one of my first memories of Alden Schaub. You, I think I saw you in passing, but I didn't, at some point, the Sunday tag mics is when you really obviously started to stand out to me, and I was like, oh, this motherfucker's funny.
Thank you.
And obviously, if this guy's like, hey, you can sit at the table with me.
Yeah. I don't know. You used to hang out with a comedian right when you first started that I didn't like at all, but I had no opinion of you. And then he disappeared. And then I started to get a glimpse of you just as a standalone act at my old Dice mic. And then I was talking about you to Ryer, and he was like, I fucking love Mars. And I'm like, yeah, there's something about that guy that's like unique. If you're going to give yourself a name like Mars the Martian, you better fucking be unique, and you are. The more I get to know you, the more confused I am, and that's a good place to be. There's depth to that.
I absolutely love Ryer Cameron. What about this guy?
Well, it's funny what Robert said. When we do the tag mic, we say Mars is like the final boss.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's people we can write for, and sometimes it's harder. We have to really get outside of the box. So
yes.
We both see a lot of comedians too, so we're thinking, okay, something a little different is good.
Yeah, there's an extra layer to writing tags for you where I have to consider your vocabulary because I think there's an element of tag mic that people don't realize. At least for us, if we've been doing it for a while, I like to give tags that you might actually use,
right. Sure.
Not just write a tag, right? So I have to consider your voice, and that's extremely difficult. There's a lot of times where I just mail it in with a new comedian. I'm like, I'm gonna write tags. You're probably not gonna be able to use any of them. But with you, I'm like, what would Mars actually say? And that's what I zone out half the time, and I come back and you're in your 8th limerick, and I'm like, I don't know. I got lost for a second.
Honestly, I think I can think of, off the top of my head, probably a handful of tags from you. Let's see, what was the one that tickled me the last time? Doing comedy in Austin is like a reverse slave auction. I got these white boys out here whipping themselves with 3/5 of a joke.
Yeah.
And you, I had so many from you. But one of them, when I talk about the sauna, and you're like, guys, joking makes it sound like science. Because a lot of the times I get a silence along that part anyway. So it's like.
Well, what's funny is I just realized you have a sauna here. So, it's even better.
Oh, yeah.
See, this is coming. Some of your stuff seems to be so abstract, but then I'm like, well, there you go.
It's really actually real.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, man.
And I will say also something I admire, and this is my favorite thing about Alden, and you have the same thing, and it's something that I admire about all the comedians that I genuinely love as people. Your act does not change regardless of how many people are in the audience. It's like a stoic thing of you're going to do your fucking thing. The amount of times I've booked Alden and he's gone up and he's just done the exact same thing from a temperament perspective that I just saw him do a tag mic. That I call it just having resolve, which is what it is. And when I booked you on my Sunday Fun Day show, you were the same. And I'm like, that's all I wanted. I just need you to do that in front of people that maybe don't want it, but they don't realize that they're going to like it at the end of the act. People like acts that are a little bit tougher to swallow up top are my favorite because they're unique. The amount of people that are just kind of doing the same thing and just saying dude and like self-deprecating shit that it's like fine, but it's like a little the bro self-deprecating world is like a little tiring, and I prefer a guy that says that he comes from a long line of runaway slaves.
Followed by more non sequiturs that take you wherever.
Yeah.
I like what you said about that, the temperament thing. I think that's one of the things that was most important in me even getting anywhere, getting good. Where at some point it's like, don't be sad that there's two people there. Fucking bomb spectacular, if anything, and just rivet this room of chairs and two people. Like, just get the gym time in regardless of who's there.
Shake the room up. Because honestly, a lot of times when people are bombing in succession, the room just gets stuck in that flow.
Well, I mean, I got a shout out to Simply Courtney, because when I was doing that show at Indian Roller, remember? Mm-hmm. I'd have people come, because this is just post-pandemic. There's no rooms, and people are hitting me up from out of town. They want to come do this show. Sometimes there'd be 2, 4 people in there. They'd be like, I just spent a $30 Uber to do this. And I'm like, you asked me.
And then
Simply goes up there, and there's just 4 people in the room, and he does his thing. And I was like, okay, that's what professionalism looks like.
Yeah. You were the second. That was the second show I ever got booked on.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I was in Nick Corey's backyard, and I did it. And then I did a set, and then you went up to me after you said, I just had someone drop for Indian Roll. Do you want to do it Thursday? I drove to that gig, and I was tearing up. And then I went on stage, and there was only the bartender there, and I did 10 minutes. I was so pumped. I went almost every week after. And I would just sit there. Meanwhile, everyone there would always be so sad, and I'm like, "This is great."
But it
Indian
made me
Roller
happy.
was great.
Oh, I don't know why. I was like, "This is the best."
Yeah, it is the best. It was great.
You're a defined pillar of this Austin comedy community thing with your history at San Jack and the way that you maintain Lucky Duck. What really becomes obvious about Lucky Duck is once you see other guest hosts step in and see how they do the hosting thing, and that's an onslaught, 4 to 6 hours of bump me, when do I go up, let me go up, 4 people drain the room of all their energy, and it's just a clusterfuck. But you set the tone as a host to be like, all language is acceptable in the attempt of funny and et cetera.
Well, and I have to stand behind some things there where I'm just like, yep, this is a free speech zone. And I agree. They're allowed to do that. And they go, oh, man, really? Like, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So Alden is an irreplaceable one in the scene. And then you I feel like you're getting your paws dirty at every single – you're like booking at – like, gosh, God, 3 clubs or something?
Yeah,
at the
I'm booking at 3 clubs, and it is too much. But I like to see what happens when you never really know what you're capable of until you just pile shit on, and then you're like, oh, there's the breaking point right there. What I like about Lucky Duck, by the way, my favorite is when the host is on hour 4 of what is the most demented, like sleep paralysis nightmare, and then you're just 5 picnic tables back, like eating sausage or whatever, Brussels sprouts or whatever you got. You're talking to whoever, and you're well aware of what's happening, but you're not going to save them. You're just going to, this is what they signed up for.
No, it's not my job to intervene.
Right.
Well, and Kojak almost got in trouble because he kept harassing this group. And then they started rushing the stage, and I was like, okay, this would be a point where I should probably intervene. Well, let's just see.
Right.
And he handled it, and then the guy ran up a bunch of times, and I was like, okay, so then, he's suitable to figure it out for himself.
Yes. You'll find that even the most unreasonable people will reach a point where they turn reasonable.
Yeah.
Except for certain comedians that get.
I just got bombarded with a wall of people who ain't never gonna change, man.
Yeah. It's so funny too. Only one comedian has gotten banned from Lucky Duck, but she's not on this earth, I don't think.
Sure.
No, and I find her to be at least maybe her batting average isn't the best, but when she hits, oh my God, is she funny?
I agree.
Dr. Sousa.
She was stripping at the mothership once, I heard. Mm-hmm. She went up right before a comedian Zaid that I love. He's an amazing comedian from Houston. He was she was just having just convulsions on stage, and then
what an amazing art installation, performance art this lady
in the mothership.
Yeah, but see, the problem is, so while I do think she's funny, and if I was ever to be able to have features and whatnot for myself or a show, that she's a perfect get on. But she, she screamed grape and is just nonstop getting cops' attention. Like, I can't walk down the street with this lady without possibly getting arrested every.
That's the part of me when it comes to booking, and I don't know how Alden does it, but I have to at least trust the parameters of what you're about to do. I don't really care if you're what your act is, as long as I'm like, I know, because in my head I want to build like a lineup that's like a little interesting, and it's, if I don't know what you're about to do, that's not good.
If
That
I don't
scares me.
trust your artistic direction for
Right.
yourself in the room,
Yes.
not everybody knows how to. I don't know. There was something that happened in my brain also early, where at Sunset, back when they used to run, weekly or nightly open mics, Colton Jones, I must have been 3 months in, 4, whatever. But he's like, oh, we want you to host like a quadrant of the show. And that put my brain into a thing where at that point, I had never considered hosting or what would it be like. And then that put my brain into a place of like, oh, always have try to get maximum retention of people. You don't want to walk anybody.
Right.
Sometimes you got to host and just level set of like, what's happening on? Was there a big pop or boom? Are the speakers fine? Did somebody just kill or crush? Or
Yep.
did somebody trip? Like always be in the moment for like hosting for yourself. Something about that.
Yeah.
Really allows you to sort of handle any situation. Because sometimes you can come on stage, and even though you want to do whatever your predefined icebreaker or set is, if you don't call to the elephant of the room or something, people
Yes.
may not be listening and even start relating with you, and then you're too robotic,
Yes, and honestly, I think hosting, I've said this to a bunch of people, I think hosting is like the leg day of comedy, and there's not a lot of it in Austin. There's a lot of shotgun shows. I try to host at least half the shows I do on a weekly basis, and it's gotten me good. Like if you're in a tough lineup where like everybody's bombing and you're like up 4th or 5th, the key is to just, once you get on stage, do a host set and like reset the room. But you have to know how to do that. If you don't know how to if you don't even know what that thing inside of you is, where you have to like make people like pay attention and Men in Black style forget about what you just saw, you're gonna be fucked. In tough situations, you're not gonna know what to do. I don't know. What do you think of hosting?
Oh, it's great. I do it a lot.
Right.
But it's not for everybody. But like, yeah, I think it's a toolkit that's helpful.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're, I mean, many comedians, they're off to different shows they got to run. They're never able to watch the whole show.
Yeah.
So they're not really seeing, especially as a booker, they're not watching each other, so they don't really know. So they're just having to base their booking on reputation.
Yeah.
Where, if you host a show, it's kind of your job to observe everything and then try to, make it work. So then, it helps me write a quick tag as I'm doing it and then get the next person going.
Yeah.
And I use that all the time.
Yeah. Tagging is great for crowd work. You're the
Yeah.
one that connected that dot in my head when I started getting better at crowd work, and I didn't know why. And it's because you're just tagging a moment.
Right.
That's literally all it is.
Yeah, they're giving you the topic, and you just throw something out. And it doesn't even have to be that good.
No, the element of it being improv makes the bar very low for what makes things funny.
Yeah, speed. I noticed that at the banana phone. Speed is a lot of it, and getting in that quiet pocket if you can.
Yes. Yes. It's cool. Yeah.
Base hits with speed.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like to let everybody host at the Lucky Duck, because some people will try it one time and be like, nope. And then other people are like, okay, this is something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But then, because I produce my own shows and I host them a lot of the times. And so then to me, and I've got my own PA, so I can do all those things. And a lot of people are like, well, how do I get going on something? It's like, well, if you can produce your own shows, that's a little easier.
Yeah. I tell everybody, though, I've actually been toying with the idea of talking to Ramin and start booking people to host the Sunday show that I do, so both of us can do a set, because right now it's bookended with one of us hosting and one of us headlining, and that's fun and that's good, but I also feel like I want to be of service, and I really think more people should be getting hosting reps. It's extremely important. The amount of time, like something happened 2 years ago, I was breaking down the shows I was getting booked on because I'm neurotic like that, and I noticed 2 years ago almost 40% of the shows that I got booked on was the first iteration of a show. So in my head, I was like, oh, that means when somebody is like putting a show where they're trying to sell the venue on future shows, I pop in their head as like a safe act. And I was like, that's really nice. And then last year, like a third of my shows, of not mine, but other people's shows, were hosting. And I was like, oh, that means I just pop in people's heads. And that's nice, but I think other people should be getting those hosting opportunities. You really should be learning how to host. It really helps your act a lot.
I think that's a good point. If so, like, for example, if Cap City or Roscoe's or whatever it was, whatever email online sign-up list you had, there was in tandem a host list that you can also sign up for.
Yeah.
But then that requires a lot more trust of the venue and stuff like that, So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I like what you guys were saying about self-producing, because that's something I had to figure out and learn on my own. While I did not find a brand new stage that no one had ever been on, just doing the AV and creative direction in tandem with Ty Wynn at his house at the Spot, that essentially became the first club that I'm past at now, right?
Yeah.
But I'm doing all the creative efforts to figure out how to make it better and pop more and multiple camera angles and stuff. Have you guys had any experience with like what was going on at Lucky Duck type of deal when you just landed on Plymouth Rock? Was it a stage that was already there, or did you pitch them on it, so to speak?
Oh, I inherited the Lucky Duck.
Inherited the Lucky Duck?
Yeah, that was Marty's thing when he came into town. He started that one. He started Baker Street, and he started the Ice House, and then he was instrumental in getting the Creek until he kind of left town under mysterious circumstances, you know. But as he did, he goes, well, because he used to have 3 hosts. He'd have one each do 2 hours, and then one of the weeks he was having trouble, and I said, you know, I would host the whole thing. And he's like, why would you want to do that? I'm like, well, I'm going to tag everybody. I'm going to work on my tags. So for me, that'll be a fruitful thing. And then over time, I just sort of started doing it. And then as he left town, he's like, okay, well, you're in charge of this now. So then I just been doing it since then, you know.
Yeah, I will say you're very well respected in town as like the tag joke Santa Claus. Like anybody, you just
well,
no
anybody
matter
could
who it
do
is.
it. I think if this is like if the people go, well, how do you get good at writing tags? They say, well, we'll host the tag mic for 4 years and do it twice a week, and then you'll be good. And then same with Robert. Like when he first saw it at the Romo room, he's like, I like this.
Yep.
And so when it came as an opportunity to have somebody else do it with me, I was like, well, he was the obvious choice. And I think we've definitely both benefited from doing it.
Well, it's also here's the thing that people don't realize unless you've had to host Tag Mike, because you would never apply this mentality to yourself organically. When you have to sit down and write tags, knowing that you're about to read them in the microphone in 2 minutes, you're going to write tags.
Yeah.
You're going to write tags. That's the thing. Most people sit down, and then it's like it's free will. You can write as little, as many as you want. And that urge, the initial speed bump to just start writing them, knowing that no one's going to hold you accountable and no one's going to see what you write, it just feels weird. It's like, it's so easy to go, I don't want to do this. But if you have to host Tag Mic and you have to sit up front and then you have to go into the mic, you're going to figure out how to write tags real fucking quick. I remember the first time I said that, it was the Tag Mic 3 at Creek.
Yeah.
That was the first one we co-hosted. As soon as I sat down the first time, I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. And then literally the first act, within 10 seconds, said something. You started writing. I'm like, oh, this is fucked up. I'm going to just get buried every week. So immediately the pressure's on. You just have to write. You have to turn your brain off in a weird way and just write it. And just
you got to get ahead of your, like, this is good, this is bad.
Yes.
Well, I think we're more or less on par with tags now. Because, like, when I first started, the ones at the Roma room, maybe I could only write 2 or 3 the whole hour.
Right.
And now I've gotten to the point where I'm doing 3 or 4 or 5 for each person.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 or 2 are like workable jokes.
Right.
You know, and I've gotten writing jobs out of it for other comics too. Wow. Because they'll say, "Oh, well, he can write in the voice of the other person, so that's what I'm looking for."
Yeah. Something I love doing is I create those promos for Ryer when he's headlining at a spot, and I love writing in his voice because I'll be like, "Do you have an idea for a sketch?" He'll be like, "Do whatever you want." And I'll just write his 8 different Ryers in one thing, and just writing in his voice. I like a challenging voice to write for because it's almost like writing fiction where I'm like, what would this person? It's so fun. Tag Mike is a little. You don't have time to really consider someone's voice, which is why you're so difficult. But yeah, Mars is really difficult to write. But another one that I found almost impossible for a while, and I don't know what happened to this guy because I love him. But
I know who you're going to say.
Who are you going to say?
Oh, he's the Poetic Butcher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very difficult.
So fucking
Also,
hard to write for the Poetic Butcher.
Casey Rocket, I find I can't write tags for either.
Yeah. Well, I never had to because I never hosted Lucky Duck, and he never came to Tag Mike. But he's just so fast.
When he was going around, I was like, I don't even know where to start. To me, that indicates, like in your case, that you're doing something different. Because everybody else, we could seem to figure out, okay, this is where this should go.
Yeah. And a lot of it too is like, can I even follow it from a linear perspective? Because it's like a tag is very ABC.
Yeah.
Like do. But if you go A, B, A, D, back to B, I'm like, fuck, dude, what is this? This is so hard. I don't know what's happening. So, yeah, some of them are difficult to write for because they're just not good.
Yeah, if they're newer, they don't have their structure together or whatever it is. But, you just throw something out there.
But I love like Daniel Shepard style, just one-liners. I love those. Those are just add the tag to it. Like a lot of them are just, boop, that's just right there, ready. It's good shit. But, yeah, it's fun.
So I try to not – sometimes the speaker or the deliverer of the comic, when they show up and it's almost like – they give you a one-liner where the premise isn't even funny, but they tell you how they're, like, pursuing a joke, so please help me with this.
Yeah.
But it's like half of the joke is you pleading to help for this joke. It's like my brain goes off.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that case, sometimes there's not anything there to – if they have a strong premise, it's much easier.
Yeah.
A lot of times their jokes are the premise. I'm like, oh, there is way – you haven't even thought about this in the right way to see how many legs this thing has. My least favorite is, and I'm sure you get this too, and there's some comedians that automatically pop in your head, but I love when people sign up for Tag Mike. I love it. I get so excited. It's very flattering. But the people that sign up every week and they do the same set and their act never changes, it's like, what's happening? Who are we writing these tags for? It's so crazy. A lot of it, we've talked about this, a lot of the tags is for us, to be honest. We get the most benefit out of it.
Well, yeah, I would, and I would do it if people didn't use any of them because I'm practicing.
I guess I have a higher threshold or a lower threshold for what annoys me, and I don't have a high one, but I'm certainly lower than you, where you're the Buddha statue that people throw pennies at. But that kind of annoys me when I'm like, dude, I've seen you every week for like 4 or 5 weeks straight, and you're doing the same 5, and that's good. That means you got a tight 5, but where are the tags, and do you want to try something new? You know.
Have you ever started to tag for someone, or the abstraction that you're about to write down or create is maybe not? It's maybe so far removed, or just some other thing where it's like, is this just my joke now? I mean, I did just write it. You know what I mean?
I've had a couple tags that I give to people, and then I wait and I watch them for a couple weeks, and if they don't use it, I just take it.
Can bring it back.
Yeah, and I've it's gotten in my act. Like one tag it's a quick one where it's like I talk about the difference between love is blind and love on the spectrum, and I say love is blind, they can't see each other. Love on the spectrum, they can't make eye contact. And I gave that tag to someone. I'm like, this is great, and he never used it, and then he went to Colombia. I'm like, oh, that's my tag now because that fits in a bit that I'm using.
Dude, there's one I regret giving away. I could never do it myself, but it was like, I found out that Santa Claus wasn't real pretty young. You know, I walked in and Santa was banging my mom, and I immediately recognized my uncle's penis.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that one's one I should have sold to somebody or something. But I always try to be like, well, it's not in my voice, so I'm just going to give it to the other person.
Also, if you're capable of something now, what will you be writing in a few years? That's how
I always think, it's a game of volume. So if you write 1,000 jokes, then the 1,001st is going to be a little better.
Yeah, it is a game of volume. That's what they did a study a while ago that showed that without a doubt, the people in every area of art or even like sports that have created the most and done the most reps create the best.
Yeah, is that an Outliers?
I think so.
I remember reading that about photographers.
Yeah. So it's like there's no one-off people. Mozart, Beethoven, all the greatest composers were the ones that created the most as well.
Even my trivia sets, I've written probably 1,000 trivia sets now, and I can look back at some ones I wrote a couple years ago and say they're not as good.
Yeah.
And somebody was just looking at that wouldn't be able to. They don't have that eye to say what's different about this one and this one.
As long as I've been doing this now, when I first started, I would say my batting average was like 1 in 10, and that was for like the first 3 to 6 months where I was just like 1 in 10 in it. Then somewhere along the line, it was like felt like 1 in 5. Then it felt like 1 in 4, and then certain times when I'm just hot and the waterfall's happening, it's like I'm 1 for 2 on every new joke And then and that's not a permanent thing because then it's like sometimes it'll oscillate back to dude, I just got page after page of shit over the last week.
Yeah, you're gonna average. I don't know what your average is, but it will be in waves of. Dude, sometimes I'm like 0 for 50. Sometimes I'm like 10 for 10 in a week, and I'm like, oh shit. And then sometimes the premises are so there's so much to it. I'm like, I know this can be something, but I genuinely don't have the station or mental capacity to dig through this, so I just park it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bad to park material.
But if you do all your writing and stuff, you'll get them. But I have 3 jokes that came just through inspiration that were fully complete and that always are good. But most of the time, it's just going to be a bunch of dog shit.
This is the way I was talking to someone about this. This is almost exactly how 60% of my jokes will go. I write and I go, holy fuck, this is a new 5. And then I get on stage, and holy fuck, is it a new 10 seconds?
Yeah.
That is the beginning of what the actual new bit is. So it looks like a sideways hourglass where it's so wide, and then it narrows to the actual real bit that I never thought of, and then that builds like a great thing. So fun.
Did you had mentioned so there was a tag mic at Romo Room previously?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Shout
out to Pratt Bernard. Yeah.
In 2021, I actually did about half a dozen mics in town, and it was all Anderson Mill, Romo Room, and I forget what else. But I went to that room a couple times, but then quit comedy because engineering and comedy is way too hard, especially that time frame. It's I'm here to do a mic. Nobody knows you. I'm dog shit. Get on at 1:35. Engineering meeting at 7 a.m. Recipe for not existing. When did Romo Room stop?
It's been 2-3 years now, I suppose.
I never got to go back to that.
I started comedy in early 22, and it was me signing up for Romo Room and just going every night for like every mic. I would just post up there, and then it closed within like 2-3 months.
You know what's funny about the Romo Room? They had the sign up where it was slotted. So you would sign up, you'd get a slot, you knew exactly what time you're going to go on. So it would be a rotating door of people coming in and doing their set and leaving. So then I thought, well, when I do a list, it can't be so organized because comics are efficient with their time. They want to run off. So it's got to be a little murky. And so that's partially why the list of the Lucky Duck is the way it is, because I thought, well, people know exactly when they're going to come up. They're not going to be there.
Yeah.
They're just going to run off. And so, I don't want to waste a person's entire night, but I think if they're there for like a half hour, that would be good.
Also, the nature of the Lucky Duck sign-up, by the time you get up, you are the exact energy of the rest of the people.
Yeah, that's very true. You're kind of acclimating to the...
Who wants to get up there comfortable and calm? No, you want to be up there with like, what the fuck, I've been here for 42 minutes, and I thought I was on deck 8 times straight. Like, that's what you want to do.
So the real way that it actually works, if you ever come to Lucky Duck Austin, the people
truth.
that get there at 6, those people are going to fill out their names about 1 to about 25-ish.
Yeah.
Then all the new people who are not maybe as indoctrinated will actually start being 26 through whatever else, a million. But right at about 7:45 throughout the rest of the night, people are going to come in and just start inserting bump spaces that they feel is going to be fine type of deal, right? So it's like, oh, look, AJ Valentine, I'm going to go right after him. Kojak, right before. Like, that's just how it ends up happening,
What was funny is last time Remy was like, okay, these bump people are going to wait. And he pushed people around a little bit. And I was like, all right, he's going mad with power. Good.
Remy walked me. I couldn't handle it.
It's like the Stanford prison experiment when you take the prisoners and you make them the guards and you see how they act.
But
real fucking quick, you see.
you got to be nice to people because you don't know who's going to be up. You don't know who you're going to be working with. You don't know who's going to be on the show with you.
The one time I was at Lucky Duck, and it was like I showed up at like 12:30, and there was like almost nobody, and a specific person was hosting, which I won't mention. And I went to bump because I was just naturally used to it. And he looks at me and goes, "I don't know who you are, bro. You're not bumping. You're going at the very end." I go, "Cool," and I just went home. He's hit me up to do all my shows. I go, "Yeah, we'll talk about it." I just never did.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm funny. But really, the nature of the Lucky Duck sign up is the way it works is if there's a space on the paper, that's your spot.
Sure, yeah.
That's what it is. Look to see where you can squeeze your name in and then draw a line to where you want to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of that detours and traffic and arrows that end up pointing somewhere else to someone else. Bigger names bring their friend too. Bump me and my friend.
But that's something I learned about at the Romo Room. I thought, okay, they're setting it up to be the most fair and transparent. That's what'll bring a crowd in. Well, it turns out that's not. Because the goal of the show and the goal of the performer, at least at an open mic, are different. They want to get in and get out as quickly as possible. My job is to cultivate an audience, not of comedians, but of like regular people.
I think if people want to, I've always made this shows, if people want to move to Austin for comedy, you have to hit Anderson Mill, Lucky Duck, and see if you like it.
Sure.
Because that's like really what this shit really is.
I totally agree because Anderson Mill and Lucky Duck are the places that you will generally have to fight for the attention of any of the room. But it is possible. You can turn every table's head and make them look and listen. Or you can also speak into the void and then the dump truck comes and starts emptying the trash and you're just white noise.
I was joking that Anderson Mill made me real good at driving home in silence.
I like that one. The nihilism's in the air.
Yeah.
You go, I'm only doing this for me. And that's great.
I mean, here's the thing. Anderson Mill, 1 in every 5 to 6, maybe 7 times, it is fucking magical.
Sure.
But boy, are the other 4 to 6 times extremely painful in a variety of ways. You never know what type of pain you're going to feel. It will be lonely, but will it hurt? Will it feel like despondent?
Yeah, I was talking to Dave Borowski one time. We were up there, and he goes, "This is the worst mic. Why do you do this?" I go, "I come here every week." He's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "This is the best mic in town." He's like, "I don't understand." I'm like, "Okay." He doesn't. So we have a different view of what we're trying to do.
Each mic and host sort of forms its own kind of ecosystem around it.
Sure.
And like the regulars about it. And Lucky Duck, while we have regular comedians, I like that interspersing of random public all the time. So you don't see the same girl in booty shorts or whatever every week.
Sure.
You know?
I will say, I fucking hated your access night.
Yeah, because we were trying to make it really fair. And it was like, okay, we're going to draw numbers, and people hated that. And they'd always keep coming. So then people would keep coming up to me and saying, I need to go and this and that. And I kept saying no. And I said, I hate saying no. Yeah. I don't like to say no. I don't want to be in charge of this. Yeah. So that was a problem for me.
It was. And the reason I think I also hated it is because I would show up with a full car. It would be me, Alex, Matt, and Sam. And one of us would always go up so far at the end. So one of us would go and one would be like the second to last one up. And then if you're on the other side of your co-host going up and doing his 30-minute special in the middle of it was, and the reason I think I also hated it is because I would show up with a full car. It would be me, Alex, Matt, and Sam. And one of us would always go up so far at the end. So one of us would go and one would be like the second to last one up. And then if you're on the other side of your co-host going up and doing his 30-minute special in the middle of the fucking mic, you're fucked. I remember one time I called him out on it on stage. He got really buttery. He's like, I'm going to bang from this mic. The fucking mic, you're fucked. I remember one time I called him out on it on stage. He got really buttery. He's like, I'm going to bang from this mic.
You know, I've learned something from doing that mic, Romo Room, and doing the Lucky Duck. And also even when we used to have the pre-sign up for the tag mic. When I try to apply too much organization to it, I'm resisting how comics are. And so I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to work with people's natural inclinations and not be so, okay, we've got to make it like this, because nobody wants to conform to any of that.
You have to be hyper picky and exclusive, or just completely open, because the middle is death.
Yeah.
You have to, like, on Tom's, it's so nice, it's only 3 comedians, they go up, that's it. You have a spot, are you high? There's only 3 comedians. Of course I don't have a spot. Or really open it up and be like, hey, whatever. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, like I was down at the Blind Tiger, and I was trying to get on the midnight mic. And so then I go, oh, well, I'm in town. I can walk over there. There were 10 other people trying to do that. And the host told each person, you got to send us an email on Sunday, so none of you are going up. Wow. I would have trouble doing that. I'm always like, well, we can just do more. But, like, you got to either do it, like you say, picky and exclusive, or just a free-for-all.
What would you guys each say is your top 3, top 3 stages that you've been on the most, that you've gotten the most repetitions on in town?
I mean, probably the 3 that I produce at would be Creek, East, and Tom's. Now, I mean, I do them 7 times a week.
It's got to be Creek. Maybe even Lucky Duck, even though that's once a week, but I've hit it like every single week since I started. And I don't know, Sunset was in the running there, but they don't do open mics damn near, it seems like, anymore.
Well, they're during the afternoon.
The afternoon ones, but that's for the people that sleep under the bridge. They can get there at 3 p.m. or whatever, you know.
I think I'm pretty similar. Probably Lucky Duck, Creek, and East Austin, the different variations of East Austin.
East Austin is quaint. It's nice. I've only done it twice, but it's I like that close quarters. You know where to go on the stage.
It's just the audience getting closer and closer. The first one started in the Tiger Den, which was an incredible venue, but it was just too expensive. If you walk in, you're like, oh, this is nice. And then Raza, I think, moved to the house next door, which was cool, but not in accordance to zoning. And ironically, the first time I walked into the new spot, that was the first thought I had, because that's a lot has to do with my day job. But I was like, I'm going to be a fucking asshole and be like, hey, this is up to zone. And that's what fucking marked the thing. They got too successful. It wasn't zoned properly. But both iterations of the house east, because it started in the corner of a living room like this, and then they knocked down the wall, and then they way opened it. Both of those are pretty cool. And now this new one is like, they're on you, dude. You can really see them right there. And it's cool because you can feel how little they like the joke and the bomb, and you can feel that they don't like it.
You know,
Sitting on top of their facial expressions.
I missed the original because I used to be able to bartend. They were giving away free wine. And so I would always bring in a bottle of, like, cinnamon whiskey or something and go give away free shots so people would really juice up the tips. You know, we used to get decent tips, but, yeah, now it's like, I think the stages are pretty equivalent, but, man, I do miss those tips. Like,
the original Tiger Den East was the shit. That was a magical place where I had some really bad bombs in that one, though. I mean, there was something about the Tiger Den really did some of the worst bombs are the comfiest locations where I'm like, man, you guys you just don't like me. Like, a lot of times people think a bomb is like when everybody's doing bad. No, a bomb is like when it's you.
Everybody's doing good, and just you.
And then you're like, oh, you don't like me. Like, you don't like me.
I've turned all of you against me now.
Somehow, from the get, you don't like me.
I don't get that. I always get, this is boring, or what is this?
Right.
I don't always. People often don't dislike me, but that's my kind of bomb. My kind of bomb is like, who cares?
Yeah, my kind of bomb is like, oh, you're like way less likable than you look.
What bombing for, okay, of course, like a certain amount of LPM that is or is not there. But then if I reorganize a sentence unintentionally and it made it worse, or forgetting something else, it's like, oh, I'm bombing my own material because I'm not saying it correctly or whatever. Okay, what bomb sticks out to you the most? And for me, it was one of the banana phones. So first off, I probably bombed the first dozen banana phones that I did. And it wasn't until like,
Yeah, you used to really turtle up. You'd get up there and you'd just let them hit you. And you're just kind of like, ah.
But also that, I'll still, it is what it is. It's hard to come back, especially when it's, like what side of the room did that even come from?
Yeah, it's a wave of noise now.
But what really changed is I started, being effective in that minute when it would happen type of deal. But anyways, I went up, I think you were there. I went up as Mr. Miss Mars Martian, and I had the women's championship strap, and my whole set was about beating up women at the roller rink.
Nice.
And that and just from every single sentence was flat. Every single sentence as a rebuttal was flat. It was one of those ones where as soon as I exited the stage, I ended up in that control room, and I had to be in that control room for like 25 seconds to be like, all right.
Well, the problem is,
I'm going to keep wearing this strap.
I mean, the problem is, women aren't funny. So that's like, they were like, well, it's not you. It's just, you passed completely as a woman. So.
Oh, man.
No.
Yeah, that one makes my skin crawl. That one.
It's good memory, though. Well, I had one, the worst bomb I ever had. I think I was like 6 or 7 months in, and I used to drive up to Round Rock, and Dean was doing the piano bar, I think. Or it was next to Rocky's. It was like one of those bars up there. Barrels and Amps. No, it wasn't Barrels and Amps. That's the Georgetown one. It was right next to it. I can't remember what the name of the bar was, but anyways, I had written this 5-minute monologue about my dad's friend Steve, who's a contractor, and I had to work for him, and I was doing an impression of him. So I literally wrote it out like a script. I memorized every part of it. I went up there. 0. People hated it. They thought I was making fun of the guy who, of course, they don't know. And I just was driving home, and I'm like, well, that's it. I'm not a comedian anymore. I was like, oh boy, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, not even though I wasn't even close. Like, I wasn't even in the right. It was like, so then yeah. And people were, it wasn't even like, this is bad. It was like, no. No. And I'm like, but then the next day I was like, okay, well, just don't do it like that. Right. but on the way home, I was fully quit on the way home. 100%.
Fuck yeah. And then you sleep on, you're like, no, I shall continue.
Allison Wojcicki was in the front row, too, and she was heckling me, and deservedly. And I was like, oh, God, this doesn't feel good.
I had a bomb probably like a year in. It was actually at Greek Mike, which isn't a show, but it is a show.
Sunday?
Yes. And I went up, and it was what's funny is at the time, it was jokes that now are like my son forget it jokes that like, the crowd just wasn't there for it, and I felt bad to a point where halfway through my set I stopped and like, damn, this is like a real bomb, huh? And then I kept going. And then I left stage, and Ty Rivera went up right after me, and he was like, damn, Robert, usually when someone bombed that hard, no one's in the room. And I was like, oh, my God. And I just drove home with Alex, and he made me feel better. He said some nice words, because I was only like a year in at the time, like a year and some change, maybe like a year and a half. And he was like, you need to just keep track of like where you are in the flow of like your actual development. You're doing fine. I was just really, really upset.
One of those Sundays, maybe I'm 4 for 5, and the one that stands out, I get bucket pulled, called up, and I go up, and I'm running a lot of new material, and we'll call that stuff 50-50 at best, and then I'm doing I do a Skynet thing. And I go up there, and I get nothing, followed by some more nothing, followed by like sort of a chuckle, and then sort of followed by jaw dropping because of my Skynet bit, right? And so maybe I got to exit laugh or whatever. Ty didn't like me at the time, or we were, not friendly or whatever. So then I see him, and he's going on next. He goes up, and absolutely murders, makes reference to me sucking, the whole fucking thing. And then Cam goes up right after him and also murders. So it's like, yeah, last word to be had in this room, just not by me, right? And that was like when I was 7, 8 months or whatever it was,
Yeah, you just look at them. Some days you just have to be on lineups where you're like, yeah, I just didn't have it, Because I was talking to like J.J. Lieberman. It's interesting. He's moving back to New York, but he's going to be bumping around. And
He's a funny fucking guy.
I love J.J. Lieberman, just as a person too. He was saying the reason he's moving is there's not enough competition. Like, there's not enough, especially for a guy like him that's like 11, 12 years in. Like, if you're not at the mothership and like people are murdering one after the other, you're like, oh, I have to bring it.
Oh, interesting.
There's not a lot of those opportunities where, like, in a lot of well-defined scenes, which I guess in his end is like LA, New York, when you're in certain spots, you got to bring it every night. I thought that was interesting because in my head I'm like, oh, I'm on so many shows where I'm like, oh fuck. But he's like, yeah, there's just not enough competition. So I'm like, oh, there's levels to this shit. Like I love my friends. I think they're very funny. I like to book certain people more than others because I know they're going to make me work when it's my turn. But it's like, that's just at our level. He's like, where's the people that are going to push me? That's fair game. That's a fair way to look at it.
I don't know. I've been to, I've seen it all. I've seen lineups where I'm just like, I'll stop by and see what's happening and it murders. And then I've been on seeing other lineups where it's like, God damn, what happened to this? What's going on here? This is supposed to be your crowd, your room type of, you never know what's going to happen or how it is, but fuck if I know. I don't know, guys, but shit, we got to do tag mic today. Got to do tag mic today.
Well, actually, I'm doing the Star Wars trivia over at the Creek.
Wait, is that? Oh, that's right. It's May the 4th.
No, mine's called May the Farce Be With You.
May the Farce.
But yeah, it's because they're like, hey, you want to do that? I never do theme shows, but they're like, do you want a Star Wars one? I'm like, okay. So it should be good. I got a bunch of Star Wars farts.
I had a thing that I wanted to do. I don't know if you guys will want to be in this footage any longer. Yeah. So as I suspected, no, they don't want to be included in the footage. I don't blame them. Disney doesn't even want the footage is blocked in America. It's the Führer's face. It's public domain Disney, but the 8 or 9 minute short has this is not a joke. Price is Right rules, probably 200 plus images of swastikas in it. So my boys don't want to be freeze framed with swastikas and then no explanation and just have that floating around the internet. So if you want to check it out, The Führer's Face, starring Donald Duck. When the Führer says we is the master race, we hire. I think that was unnecessary.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my God, I'm one with the symbol.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I ripped it. I just juxtaposition. I like it. See, we're allowed to play with Hitler sometimes as a theme.
It's very interesting.
As a yeah.
Well, that's what I say. Every mic I'm going to hear it once, at least once.
So the set that I purposely put together for East Austin when you had me down, there was a lot of stuff and references in there to like where society ended up going just a couple of months later that was totally abstract for the time, and now all of a sudden it's like niggas with swastikas on the tip of everybody's tongue, you know what I mean?
Are we still going there? I only see the little lines.
We are recording still, yes.
Oh, it's down that way,
it's
okay.
Down there.
Wait, you know what's fun about doing the Lucky Duck? People don't understand this because they don't sit there and do it the whole time. But I'm always sampling what's being in vogue, and then I try to say, okay, I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Correct.
So that is valuable to sit there. Again, from hosting perspective, I'll say, am I doing things that people are talking about regularly? And most of my stuff that has lasted is not that.
I like that you say that, but then occasionally it's just like, okay, while they are beating this topic with a bat, let's see if my version gets any response in this room right now.
Sure.
Right? So like the Kanye Cousins thing from last Wednesday, a Lucky Duck or whatnot. But yeah, it is. Yeah, it's weird where it's like, wow, out of the last dozen comics, 8 of them hit this topic, right? Like you can almost count on every other comic saying something Tinder related, but like something like when the submarine exploded,
Oh,
or
sure.
when
that was
9/11's
be-
in season again,
Yeah.
or what else? Stuff like that. Yeah, Bud Light.
Yeah, or tariffs. There's been a bunch of tariff jokes.
I mean, those are so many. Oh God, I get okay. I go to a lot of open mics, but so many of those are just unstructured. It was just a reason to say tariff.
Yeah. Well, I just think, okay, you're going to be telling a joke a bunch of times for maybe years or even decades. Some of the people I've written for have said, I used this joke 10 years ago. And I think, okay, well, it's got to be able to stand up the test of time. So if it's too topical, it has a shelf life. And then also you go through changes throughout your life where you may not even have that same opinion, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
So I do try to write things that are going to be
Evergreen.
evergreen, yeah. And then it's hard, though, because then the question becomes, well, why are you telling me about this now? And I always have the opposite. I always say, well, there's no reason. But that's a stylistic choice. But I think of that why. Like I heard that in the Pete Holmes thing. Who are you? Why are you? And then you got to answer, well, why now? Why are you telling these people right now? I often invert that. I want them to say that to me in their head. Why is he talking about this? And that's the thing where I think it's very funny. Because I'll be like, hydrogen water. And they're like, okay, who cares? Like, you know, and then I'm like, well, let me tell you why it's important. And they're like, okay, and then I never do.
The old bait and switch where they think it's going somewhere.
I want to present it like it's the most exciting thing, and it's clearly not. And then I end up with it just, oh yeah, gotcha.
Here's a question. Maybe we'll close with this one. What comedy show, theater, club, wherever you were, where the comic on stage was so effective or so funny that it sort of maybe in that moment in time opened up your eyes to more possibilities of like, whoa, there's once again levels to this, like maybe the highest level you've seen someone else hitting.
Yeah. This is an easy one for me. So one of my favorites is Dave Attell.
Love him.
And when I like a comedian a lot, I'll go watch him multiple times. With Dave Attell, when he went to Cap City, I actually went to all 7 of his shows.
Whoa.
I went once Thursday, twice Friday, twice Saturday, twice Sunday. And I watched him every night basically play with the set in a way that blew my mind. Like, let's say, throughout the entire weekend, he had 25 topics he covered. Every set, he would take those 25 topics and he'd pick 4 and stretch it to 10 minutes. And then he'd hit the other ones, boom, bam, bam, bam. So at the end of the weekend, he had hit every topic to the full expense. So the last show on the last night, 3 minutes in, the mic cut. And so he started doing this fun thing with his crowd, but I could watch his wheels turning, and it was crazy because I'm easily the only one in the audience that was noticing what's happening. As soon as the mic turned on, he proceeded to do the best possible version of every joke I'd seen him do throughout the last 6 shows in just murder. Because the momentum had died. When the mic died, everyone was like kind of like talking, trying to have fun with the crowd, but looking at him like, fix this shit. As soon as the mic came on, he just went somewhere that I'm like, oh, this is crazy. And I was easily the only one in the whole crowd that realized that just happened other than him. And the cool part is at the end of that show, he was signing autographs of it, obviously, and saying hi to everyone. And I went up and I showed him all 7 things. I'm like, I'm just letting it off. I'm a huge fan. I went to every show. And he looks at me, Desi goes, damn, dude, I wish we would change it up a little bit more. And I was like, you're out of your fucking So that was the show where I was like, fuck. But I am seeing Louis when he comes in town, and he's my favorite.
September.
Yes, I'm seeing him on 9/11 with Alex.
I'm trying to get. I think one of my other buddies has a ticket too, and I don't know if he's taken anybody yet. But what about you?
Man, I can't remember this comedian's name, but he was at the Romo Room when they filled up the big room. They were bringing in some headliners, and he did this impression of his grandmother. And it was very weird because I could see his grandmother in his face somehow. I don't know what he did exactly. If he changed, like he must have did, but I was like, I can see it. And it was crazy. I was like, am I being hypnotized? What's happening here? Because it's the same face, but he did something with his face. And I was like, man, that's real artistry, you know. And it made it really, I mean, he was funny on top of that, but it was like a master impression. I've never seen anything like that.
I felt something similar with Adrian Escamilla, but I think I was on maybe a higher dose of mushrooms, and he comes up on stage as like a white tiger. And the disco lights were hitting, and everything was hitting so hard. I was like, I cannot believe. Like, but no, it wasn't him. It was I walked into. It was like September, and it was like storming in like 2023. So I was maybe at 6 months in or something. And I know I did Lucky Duck that night. I hit Creek. And as soon as I hit the front door, I think it was Todd who was like, Sam Talent's here.
Oh, my God, I was about to...
Oh, yeah.
And then the curtains are closed. So you got to go the long way, wrap around and into the curtains. And there's like a humidity of like thunder because of the laughter in the room. Like it's just a humidity of laughter. I go around the curtain within 2 minutes tops. he had me cramping, murder, laugh, crying, and then he proceeds to do it for like another 30, 40 minutes after I got there. It's one of the hardest. I mean, he was testing the VO2 of the room. It's like I'm being too funny right now. I have to like chill for a second.
Yeah. Was it when it was raining and he did his entire set as a
Baby?
Yeah, so it was Sam Hunter's show. So Sam had done a night of Sam's or something. It was Sam Hunter, Sam Lopez, Sam Prickett,
Sam's on Sam's.
Yeah, and
Sam I am.
the other Sam chick I can't remember. Sam Minnie, and then Sam
Blumenthal.
and no, Sammy wasn't on there. And it was talent. And then Sam had just come running from like outside talent. He was drenched wet, and then he just went on stage and did his set as like a newborn baby. And everything from like how he was drinking his beer to like everything was unbelievable. It was so crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
The RPMs in that room, and it was, you know, it's also that thing where like because of the improv and in the moment and in the like everything is just ramped up an extra level because it feels all so organic we're just all living this experience thing together. Sounds great. You said Dave. I've not seen Dave live, not even in like passing or person yet, but I saw first off, he's one of my absolute favorites, and I saw on YouTube some set that he put out from over 30 years ago. Like he must be like 30, 31, something like that. And in watching it, like there's no doubt in my mind that he's gotten better. Back then, he's grandmaster level, clearly just already so good. It's just weird to see the guy half a lifetime ago murdering at the same RPMs at such a different stage in life, but still already undeniable.
He's amazing, man. He's like the true your favorite comedian's favorite comedian. Like everyone's like your favorite comedian's favorite. No, he is. There's two guys that I think are gonna die like so underrated. It's him and Colin Quinn.
Mm.
And Colin Quinn, his most recent special where he did it at a therapist like symposium, that was fucking crazy. To just like run that hour about like the mentality of like just because he does themed like British type of like he's not British but like one man show style specials. Right, every special he does is on a specific theme, and to do one about like the wear and tear and the effect that social media has on people's minds, and like an asylum style like theme. At a therapist like symposium where it's like that's not an audience, that's a bunch of like smell your own farts educators, and he's just telling them what's happening. It's so unbelievable. He's not crushing the way he should, but
for both of those guys, that I feel like if there was just Superbad 2, Anchorman 3, some kind of funny cult movie that has them explicitly in it, like something outside of comedy to then raise their overall, presence in society type of deal. That's all that's missing.
Yeah, they're like New Yorkers in the shadows. Like Dave Attell's ultimate in the shadows.
But that's the ultimate, like, I mean, it's comedy explicitly. You know what I mean? Like whatever else, forget all the other.
Also, those guys don't have demands placed upon them. They're at a level of fame where their fans really like it. But the people are not saying, they don't have some kind of marketing person telling them, well, if you just wore, a leather jacket, that's what we crowd tested it.
Stylist guy.
I do think there's a level of success you get where now people are sort of invested in you, and they are also now kind of directing you a little bit. That, to me, it's sort of counter to comedy. Yeah, so, there's that.
You know what? There's a beauty to that, too. Like, with his talent and where he is, and then the fact that he could still sort of, walk into the local HEB and just get right through and have, and then go kill later and nobody,
Like Eric Andre came to town and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then he was doing some venue kind of south of town, not one of the clubs. And I just thought, well, why is he not doing one of the clubs? Then I thought, well, he can just do whatever.
I think it was at Armadillo.
Yeah, right. So he just picked a place that has a venue. He probably rented it. He doesn't need to split with the club or whatever. Yeah. People are going to come to see him. But I thought that was like, so he's sort of, is he outside of the regular circuit because he wants to be or because he is or whatever? But also, then he's kind of completely in charge.
Yeah, name value is equally as big, if not, than the other.
I'm sure he sold it out plus. Yeah. I mean, so he could probably just go around to various places and say, oh, Eric Andre's in town. That's pretty great. And he doesn't even need an established venue to do that.
Right. That's great.
To me, that's a lot of freedom. I mean.
Final question. and maybe we'll try and say it all at the same time, like a rock, paper, scissors thing. Out of all the people that we know in the community, think of all of our friends and family, Banana Phone, et cetera, who do you feel, hope, or wish will be one of the next ones to hit that type of tidal wave that like a Cam Patterson or someone has hit? Like blessings upon, like I would love it for like Mr. Ryer or Ray or Colton Jones, like somebody to catch just a tidal wave of a pop for their.
Dude, I would love if I turn on the TV and there's a commercial for like Domino's Pizza and Tony Pepperoni. Is
Oh
like,
shit, that's a good one.
and he's doing it, and I'm like, yes,
You know what?
he's my number one. Oh
I
my
have
God.
seen him hit equally as high RPMs as like when the room really catches on and gets into it. Oh my God, I've seen Tony Pepperoni murder.
What's
Yes,
so
he is.
funny about Tony is I'll see people do their act a bunch of times and I'll laugh a little bit. I've seen all of his jokes almost, and I still laugh. And like to me, that's something special.
The variance and the mix-up, and so there's something to that. Something in my brain told me that it'd be fun to write jokes that are almost like riffs in a song where you don't mind hearing it again. And some people have tapped in, like Bernie Mac. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. Everybody kind of likes that as a.
And Tony Pepperoni is legitimately a tortured man because he doesn't want to do Tony Pepperoni. To me, that makes it so much funnier because when he says, I've been doing this character for X number or whatever, and I don't even want to do it anymore, but nobody laughs when I do my jokes. Here's one of my jokes, and they don't laugh, and he's like, I got to do Tony Pepperoni again. To me, that I'm just like, that is so funny. Like, I couldn't do it. And we found out in the impersonator competition, people can't do Tony Pepperoni. He is doing something unique. Like,
There's a couple of people now that are almost trying to invent their own Tony Pepperoni thing. I feel clearly inspired by Tony, but it's not it's not Tony.
no, I mean they don't have that where like I think Tim Stifler's doing the Timmy No Breaks. That's obviously like an Andrew Dice Clay kind of a archetype.
But high energy, so it's
Yeah.
like I'm a bomb spectacular, or everybody's gonna know I came up and went.
But Tony literally created the character because he's like, this is a stupid thing to do, and then it worked, and he's like, now I am trapped, and I don't know what to do, and I'm just like, just keep doing it.
Yeah, it was born out of frustration, I think.
Yeah, like you wouldn't make that on purpose.
Yeah, it just completely destroyed his old act. He got buried by his own creation.
Yeah, that's one of his lines. It's so funny. I can't follow me.
Every time when he used to do the Patty Potato, and he'd be like, when I say sassy or when I say laddie daddy, you say sassy lassie. I just couldn't stop. I was like, that's so perfectly stupid. Like, oh, yeah, all of it.
To be honest, with like a multi-camera array, the crowd probably mic'd and the PA probably mic'd at Anderson Mill. I think Tony Pepperoni could and should shoot a special for YouTube on at Anderson Mill type of.
Why not?
'Cause that place looks beautiful with the art. Get the
Just
proper vibe set.
do shots of the people just like facing the other way at the
Yeah,
bar.
the bar. And so how they slowly turn around to be like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah, Tony is so funny. He's great. I just want to. He's a guy that I like. He like resets the room. If people really get it, he's like a very difficult follow.
Well, in the beginning, too, a lot of people would say, I'm not going to book Tony, whatever, I don't like it, or certain people, I don't like it, but he persisted, and I think it's really good.
No.
And now, okay, he's my number one.
I could see a lot of people giving him anti-comedy advice like, oh, you can't do this and don't say that and have a big character, and then, no, just keep doing your thing, build momentum.
Opens his mouth, you're like, I have no idea.
What is this? I'm like, awesome.
Yeah, his name is Tony Pepperoni.
Until he tells you his name is something else.
Right, so then it's like he also undercuts the reality of his thing. What is it? What's real here? What's not real? None of it's real. Some of it's real. We don't know. We don't know anything.
Have you ever talked to him?
Yeah.
He's like normal.
He's very
Love
nice.
Tony.
Very nice, normal guy.
Yeah.
And then he gets like, hey, it's me. And then he just starts doing racist shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, I love it.
But the character can do anything.
And where's the pepperoni thing?
Oh, dude, when he peels down the different layers, he did it at the Vulcan one time. He had like 4 layers of clothing on,
Yeah.
and he would slowly, Patty Potato had that kind of like flat hat, and then he had the chef hat, and then he had like a different A shirt with the pepperonis on it. I was like, this is just,
He's a transformer.
I've never seen anything like this. But it's not one of those things that you can sit down there and make. It has to come through, in his case, like you say, frustration, but still being like, okay, well, what do I do?
That's like, that's the opposite of the story you told earlier when you bombed with the monologue and then you're like, should I quit comedy? He did something, he prepared it, and it went so well that he drove home and was like, do I have to change my entire act? That's like, that's the opposite of the story you told earlier when you bombed with the monologue and then you're like, should I quit comedy? He did something, he prepared it, and it went so well that he drove home and was like, do I have to change my entire act?
Is this me now?
Who am I?
Yeah. Next day he just started. I was there. I think I was there right when he started doing it, and I remember he pretty immediately won a comedy competition at Domingo's Mic up north at the Whisker in the Pflugerville. And I was like, I've never seen this guy before. This is so crazy, and I hated it at first. And then we did like 2 times of singing. I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. He's stone facing this whole crazy act, and people are loving it or really hating it. And that's even funnier because there's no comedian that's going to take that serious. We're all going to be laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Either it's just going to be us or everybody laughing.
It's still fun, though, because it does that bomb spectacular thing where people will still be riveted to watch, even if they're not getting any bit of it.
See, it's so funny to watch him do, like, if you've ever seen him do, like, shooters, the bucket pull mic, where he has to riff in that voice. It's so funny because he's so structured with his normal act, and then when he has to improv, it, like, all falls apart, and that's even funnier. It feels like you're watching a pizza melt. You're like, what is, it's everywhere. What is happening? I don't know how to put it back together, and then he goes back and does the joke.
Yeah. Do I know karate? Oh, shit. Somebody hope to pop.
I mean, there's people that I love, like my friends.
They're all going to get mad that you don't say any of their names.
I do want to clarify, like, I love Ramin and Hunter and stuff, but I think the 3 that I think are going to are 3 of my best friends, Sam, Alex, and Amos. Amos is a dark horse because he's another one. You're like, what the fuck is this? He is a deeply Japanese. Like, it's so.
But he's committed to the art. He's like, I just want to get whipped by a belt.
Yes.
This is my art.
Yeah. When Sam used to run that Monday night mic before it was New Joke Monday, when he used to be his mic, and Amos would close it every week, and he would come out on stage every week with less and less clothes. Until eventually he was only wearing what I think was a tablecloth with the belt around his neck, and he was getting
What?
Yeah, he used to end every Monday night mic like that. It was so crazy. And he would scream, and he would whip himself. It was so nuts.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I love those guys. Sam.
Those are beautiful, funny men.
Well, that's, again, you're not taking advice from people or saying it should be like this or should be like that. You're just seeing. And it's not known whether or not there's something there or not. Right. And he's like, this is my art. Yeah. And I appreciate that.
This is my art, and I hate it.
I hate it. I hate myself.
Yeah, every time he has some of my favorite jokes, and he goes, thanks, man, I fucking hate it. And it's just coming from a place where, like, he has one of my favorite jokes. He's like, I'm Asian, but people call me yellow. I hate when people call me yellow. The only yellow thing about me is my cum. And then just...
Yeah.
And I'm just crying.
That's fun.
Yeah, he's great.
That's very fun.
Yeah, he's great.
Well, guys, fucking, I think we did a mission accomplished here. And I'd like to actually do it additionally in the future, iron some ideas out, especially if you guys got any ideas for me in the future or whatever and whatnot. Yeah, it's a creative den.
Yeah, you got a studio.
Well, yeah. So this is the Comedy Spore. I'm Mr. Martian. That's Alden Schaub. This is Robert Tabet, and we are going to see you, my